She didn't like it was a four-question pop quiz. She did a face test. I'm like, this is a question of pop quiz of something I read like on Friday. Oh,
I'm sorry, I'm getting it.
You're gonna be famous now.
What'd you get?
57.
That's so good. Good for you.
Okay, I think I just.
No.
Okay, I'm probably maybe don't.
I probably would.
So somebody agree here that would be a that would be ideal.
Well, I got a 99 on mine and 101 on the others. And then I got a 73 on the last one.
Sports Center.
It was kind of hard, and I got a 73. Yeah, it was my time. Why do you think those 71 was hard? We didn't go over the review time. Why did you say it's not hard? It wasn't hard. It was like easy, but.
Okay,
Tate.
Tate.
What did you get on the last?
Can I get a visual on all your copies
You probably did the best.
Whitebird?
You probably did the best.
Yeah?
73. You always Marissa got a 73. Was she graded by
Do we have 100%?
for the fourth time? She graded by You guys have to check because no people check out.
This is the right damn book.
Wait, she graded me. She graded my test on 4 times.
Every time.
She gave me 10 points off, and I got
Okay.
how she grades. Like that.
Okay. What is the title of this book that we're reading? Who is it written by? Okay. Good.
Wait, we have to write books?
So what I want you to do right now is I want you to do a dry walkthrough of the books. What does that mean? Do a dry
Check it
walkthrough.
out, see what's in it, format.
Yeah. Check out format. Check out form. Maybe make predictions about what type of a book this is.
Different stories.
Look at spacing. Look at, is this in prose or in verse? Just one map. It is the same book, yes. Krish is asking why we are being monitored by this video camera that looms in the corner.
We needed this in French class. Oh god.
Brian has narrowly escaped computer fame.
Am I on it?
I'm
not on it.
Oh, is it a live?
So,
Live webcam on
no, it's not a live. It's not a live
focus.
I'm doing some professional development where I'm having my teaching be evaluated by mentor teachers. So that's why I am recording us today, because I have to give some samples. I have to give some samples of myself actually teaching. So that's the deal. Don't feel stressed about it. Forget that it's there. Okay. So, who has predictions based on the reading from last night, based on your flip through of the book, on what type of a text this
It's a
is?
weird one.
Take.
Well, I wasn't gonna say that. Well, I wasn't gonna say about what kind of a text it was.
What were you gonna say?
What I had like a feeling that it was like about, because I'm pretty sure that the little grotesque passage wasn't really what the book is gonna be about. Like it was like a forethought, but it wasn't like the plot line.
Okay.
But I thought it was going to be like the people in the town are the grotesques. So then it's like about their lives in the town.
Good. About the lives of the people living in this small town.
And then wasn't each chapter like a name, so it's like about the person?
No.
Hands? Never mind, I made that.
No, that's a good prediction. Who can elaborate on Miranda's point that each section is about a particular person? Yoni?
It's like a story, a short story about an event that happened that might not have a direct correlation with the chapter behind it or before it, but it all kind of happened in
Winesburg, Ohio.
And then it's like not like about one main character.
Yeah,
It's like multiple characters, whoever in the town.
Good. So this book constructs a community. Okay? So we know that this takes place in Winesburg, Ohio. We know that the book is composed of a series of short stories, and each particular story is going to be about a different individual living in this society. And one of the unifying factors in the text as a whole is that everybody lives here. So they have a common place. They're all from the same small town in Ohio, and that unifies them. We will discover in our reading tonight that there is a particular character who also helps to unify the stories. He will pop up in multiple stories.
Is this sort of place?
I was just gonna ask if you've been there, because you said you like to go there.
Yeah.
I have not been to Winesburg, Ohio. The name of the town isn't actually Winesburg. That was a fake name that Sherwood Anderson came up with, but it is based on a small town where he lived for a portion of his life. Yes. Yes.
So the places are like real, like,
I would have to fact check that. Yeah. Okay, so first task. The first story we read has a particular title, which is The Book of the Grotesques. Raise your hand if you looked up the definition for the word grotesque. Oh, nice, 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 nice. Okay, so this can be an adjective, it can be a noun.
I never heard of it.
Well, I already know what it is.
Okay, so, would anyone volunteer a smartphone to find us some dictionary definitions? Miranda, you want to do the adjective,
Oh, I
Claire,
got
noun?
I wanted to do it.
Or Claire.
Too bad I'm the first one there. Right there. I'm not gonna say it.
You were the first one.
Yeah.
oh, I got
No.
the noun, wait.
Yeah.
So guys,
Oh, I got-
open
I got
up your
both.
binders too.
Oh,
You're going to want to jot this stuff down. Let's open the notes
Like
section.
literally off. Okay.
I have the adjective. That's right.
Okay, adjective.
Odd or unnatural in shape, appearance, or character, fantastically ugly or absurd.
I have both. I got both right away, so I don't.
Well, Claire, your phone's just so smarter than mine, probably.
I think so.
Thank you, Miranda.
Right.
Claire, do you have a noun for us?
Yeah. It's like a piece of. Okay, a style of decorative art characterized by fanciful or fantastic human and animal forms, often interwoven with foliage or similar figures that may distort the natural into absurdity, ugliness, or caricature.
Okay.
Fantastic
Yeah.
is shaping. Very ugly or comical, distorted figure, creature, or image.
Okay. A distorted creature or image. Okay. So these, were you guys familiar with this word before, grotesque?
Yeah. I thought it just meant like ugly, like.
Yeah, I haven't.
Yeah, that is one way of using this word. Okay, so these are our dictionary definitions. Who thinks that they have a definition that is based off the usage in this first story? Raise your hand if you think you can define grotesque or grotesques as it is used in Winesburg, Ohio. D.
I think, one of the things that all grotesques probably share is the fact that they're unaware of, the things that are making them grotesque,
Okay,
you know, in a certain sense, in their soul or mind or something.
okay.
And, yeah.
So a grotesque is only a grotesque if he or she is unaware of the thing that is making him or her a grotesque.
That's usually the case.
Okay,
It's very rare actually aware that they are a certain, you know.
Yeah, we're getting warm here. Tate, do you want to add on to Dee's definition?
Well, would it be like a person who's distorted by the like feeling or the thing that they can't quite find inside?
They're usually the same.
Oh, that's interesting. They're distorted by the thing that they can't find
Like it's not their
inside.
physical figure or
Good.
it's their mind is distorted.
Okay, yes, we're getting there. We're getting there. It's not a commentary on these people's physical appearances. It's more of a comment on the ways in which their brains work and the ways in which they understand themselves.
Oh,
Sophia?
Well, is it kind of saying that like beneath all of their like facades kind of, they're like not good people and like they think themselves better than they actually are maybe?
Not that they're not good people.
No.
I don't think it's commenting on their morality. It's more commenting on their understanding of self and how some people limit themselves because they tell themselves a certain story about their own lives. Claire.
so it's like more mental and internal. So
Yes.
when he was explaining, can I like take from the book, like when he was explaining the book of truth, they took that truth and made it literal in their mind to think that that was the way of some certain way, and that kind of like distorted their brain to think it that way kind of thing?
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
saying it?
I'm glad you're using the language of the text. Truths are important to understanding this definition. So we're going to pause for a sec and write down some of these ideas. So, Winesburg, Ohio. Okay, so Tate has said that it's not a physical but a mental distortion. I like that. So, actually I better rewind. How is grotesque used in Winesburg, Ohio? Is it used as a noun or an adjective? Noun. The book of the grotesques. And what are grotesques?
People
People
are
distorted
distorted.
Good. Certain types of people who are distorted by their own stories of self. Okay, so this is a noun. People who have a distorted understanding of self. This understanding limits, I'm going to say it limits their freedom and potential. And I'm really focusing a lot on this word, guys, because understanding this concept is going to be pivotal to understanding each story. Because in each story, we're going to look at a particular individual who is a grotesque. And we are going to determine why they are a grotesque, how they became a grotesque, and what their particular grotesque is.
So isn't everyone
I don't know. Can we avoid becoming grotesques?
because like you all have your own distorted thing
Yeah.
like based on who you think you are.
Okay, but do you let your understanding of self control your whole life and dictate your actions?
Well, wouldn't you this old man escaped to grotesqueness by what he had inside?
Okay,
Like that.
so the writer, right?
Would for like distortion of understanding of self, like to connect it more to the book, could you say truth? Like, cause like that's like the idea he's kind of going at. Like he's like they're confused about like the truth in their own mind.
Yes. I'm going to clear some space on the board because Charlie's bringing up a good point. So, what happens when you repeat a thought over and over and over and over again?
It becomes kind of like
becomes truth.
Good. Good. Thoughts.
Oh, yes.
Good job, Clay. Thoughts. How do I show that it's being repeated? Like this? I don't know.
Yeah.
Thoughts repeated become truths. And when those truths are repeated, the people who hold those truths become good. Good, good.
So they make up their own truths and then they keep using that. That's like their own.
Yes. Yes.
Could you like give an example of like a fake?
I can give you an example. It's not going to be a fake person. It's going to be from the Book of the Grotesque. The carpenter. He comes to visit the writer. The writer wants him to elevate his bed so he can look outside the window while he is laying in bed. The carpenter ends up telling the writer this story about his past. Does anyone remember the nature of that story? Ryan.
Wasn't he in the Civil War and he like got imprisoned with his brother?
Yes, and what happened to his brother?
He died of starvation
He died of starvation.
in Andersonville prison.
Why? How did the carpenter become a grotesque because of that experience? Can anyone?
Every time that like they thought of it, like you can't maybe have to like cry or like get upset. I don't know if that has to do with it. It was like every single time someone like he started to talk about that, and like that kind of like became his life. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Good. So he sees himself. He defines himself as the product of that experience of having been imprisoned with his brother, seeing his brother die of starvation, and him not being able to get over the loss of his brother. That is how he is a grotesque. That is how he has limited himself. He has this kind of one monolithic vision of his life, and it all revolves around that prison story. It's kind of like when something happens to you as a person, and maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. In the case of Winesburg, Ohio, it's usually a bad thing that happens to an individual that that individual somehow cannot recover from. And that individual keeps like suffering and keeps reliving that episode, and he or she can't let it go, and he or she can't communicate with other people and open up to other people, and that experience isolates that person and makes that person a grotesque. Okay, number of hands. Who do I go with first? Claire?
So basically, like, well, you can use like the subject as like loss. If you lost a person you love, like, you know, the important thing to do is basically be able to move on about it. But for some people, it's like harder. So I think for him, like, I think because he kept on thinking over in his head about his loss of his brother, and he kept on letting himself get sad by it.
Yeah.
And like crying, which is like a normal thing to do. But like he's not letting himself move on. So is that like how his brain has closed, where he's like not allowed to have the freedom to move on?
Yes. He has closed himself off to new experiences because he has defined himself by this one thing that happened to him. Good, Claire. Is the writer a grotesque?
Yeah,
I have a question.
His whole world is like those people.
Well,
We'll return to that question. Charlie.
For like, I have a question about that. So, they like keep talking about like the youth saved him. It's like saving him from being a grotesque. Like I'm so like, why are they connecting him to like youth and stuff? What is the connection there?
Yeah, that
So
confused
there's
me.
a pretty interesting simile. Let's go to that. Let's look at it.
The thing is, don't know what the woman
We're on
said.
page 4 of this edition of the text, okay? We're in the middle of the first complete paragraph, and there is a really interesting
Yeah, and he
simile.
talks about like so he was like a pregnant woman. Only the thing inside him was not a baby, but a youth.
Yes. So what does it mean if an old man, a writer, is compared to a pregnant woman who has something growing inside of him but it is not a baby.
It's like life.
It is a youth.
Wait, but
Abby?
I feel like it means that he's still like enthusiastic about something, or like he has something to share that's inside of him, or like he's still. I can't think of a word.
He still has his
Not enthusiastic.
imagination.
Yeah, like an active mind.
Good. So he's not stuck because there is something young inside of him. When we think about children, they're very
So that
curious,
is
they're very
what's saving him.
open-minded, right?
They're hopeful.
They'll ask lots of questions. Yeah. And maybe they haven't
Got hooked on that
limited
truth that
themselves
limited
to
it.
a particular truth.
So that's basically what's saving him from being a Christian.
Yes. That he has this youngness, this curiosity inside him that prevents him from being just one
Like getting hooked
thing.
on like one truth that like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Tate.
But then it says, no, it wasn't a youth, it was a woman, young and wearing a coat of mail.
Yeah, I was a little confused.
Yeah.
That was
So he's got like a, what? So there's a woman on the side. I don't understand.
So
there's something.
literally there is not a woman or a child or
No,
something
yeah,
that
right.
is
So
inside
the
of
like
him.
gives him youth, sort of like he's like in love or something like that. Is that what that is? Or is
Well,
it like
it's a woman
it's
inside him.
doesn't
But
why
why?
like specifically like
A woman.
Yes.
so I think
Well,
it's
and then
more
they
like
say, and then they go on to say it like it was hard to tell what was inside of him. So like I guess it would be
Yeah.
multiple
Is it gonna
things.
be
Like
like a
that was just an
narrator, like,
example.
story?
No.
It's gonna be like told from that person's point of view.
Oh no, it's gonna be in the third person.
Why is someone wearing a coat of mail?
Yeah. What is that?
I think that's just one of the ideas or like things that are inside of him, like an
Yes.
example.
Yes. Examples of possible things that keep him
Because
young
then
and
like the next
fresh.
sentence is like who actually knows.
Yeah, that was a bit odd.
Abby.
I'm kind of confused about why they make grotesque sound like a bad thing, but then they kind of say it's like, because they say there's a truth of virginity and the truth of passion, wealth and poverty, and like they keep going,
Mm-hmm.
and then they say that they're all beautiful, and I know they don't mean like literally beautiful, they probably mean like unique and different, but like aren't truths or like living or having something like change your life, isn't that kind of like what makes everyone like who they are?
Yes. However, this narrator would argue that if we only limit ourselves to one truth, then that stultifies our freedom and our potential. Does that make sense? So,
But the
if you
ones-
have one story of yourself, like, for example, if, what's a good example? If you,
Maya Angelou, like with that. Like,
Yeah.
And all like that, be like scarred like her whole life. So that'll be like all shit.
What did you say?
yeah, good example. So Miranda's bringing up,
Oh yeah, the
Caged
rape, and like,
bird.
she was hooked on that, so she wouldn't talk, and that was like
But then she kind of got
making
over
her
it.
grotesque.
yes, so she was kind of haunted by her experience of sexual assault, and for a while, it really, really limited her.
Yeah.
But she is able to overcome,
Yeah, so
That
that's
truth.
grotesque.
so she avoids becoming a grotesque if we apply this rule to her. Clay.
Connection.
Like the people, like he said that some people took like dozens of truths. So when, how would that make them grotesque?
They live.
We must have like a lot of different things.
It's almost like not being open-minded.
So they're confined by that like one idea.
Yes.
basically.
But I feel like that's so unfair, like how he like talks about it. Like he's just observing people and like putting, like I'm sure that they probably are limited by truths, but it's like he's making up his own rules for like life.
Okay. This is, yeah, if we can understand this as this writer's particular way of understanding the individuals in this small town. He sees people who are isolated. He sees people who have a hard time communicating with other people. He sees people who are like stuck
Does he come up again?
and
I
unhappy.
feel like they're more like wolves.
No.
He doesn't like this is all like we never like know his life.
No.
He wasn't a grotesque.
But
Do the people in the town know
Like, do they like ever
Probably.
like, say, like, oh, this was alright, or
I don't think it does.
I don't think he's mentioned again. Yeah, but this concept applies throughout the book, so that's why we're kind of making sure that we really understand it, so then we can apply it to the stories we're gonna read later. Dee, did you have a question or an observation?
I was trying to find the right words. I feel like we're gonna get a sense of the writer and the actual writer himself
Yeah,
by the way they describe things in the book, and it's gonna be like a whole book of how this person chooses to observe the world
Yeah.
and the people in it, and in that small town as well.
good.
So even if we don't like personally, even if the writer isn't mentioned again, we're still gonna feel him there.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely see that, because this whole concept is now going to be applied to a number of the characters that we look at. Not every single individual is going to be a grotesque, but many of them are going to be. Abby.
So, like on page 6, when they say, like, he became a grotesque and the truth he embraced became a falsehood, and then they say that the subject would become so big in his mind that he himself would be in danger of becoming a grotesque and he didn't. What does that mean?
So this is referring to the writer, and he has come up with this idea that people are grotesques. He's come up with this concept that we've written down. And he becomes so enthralled with this idea that
That
he,
starts to dictate his life.
yeah, that he is like starting to
So, like,
follow
he
this
starts
cycle.
to, and then
The
ends up
irony.
not.
Yes, but how does he avoid
You.
becoming
That
a grotesque? The young thing that's inside him, and there's another fact.
Writing.
His death.
Like writing
Thinking
down.
about how he's gonna
Yeah.
die.
Or is it that woman that like always, like he's
So
like,
crazy.
Wasn't he
that
a ladies'
one
man?
like females? Oh, he was a lady.
Back in the day,
Yeah.
So, like,
So, let's go to page 6.
I think
Bottom,
the pages
last
are
complete
different.
paragraph. Am I on different pages
Yeah,
than
mine
you guys?
was like
Yeah.
Yeah, mine is page 4.
So this will be close to the end of the book of the grotesque, the second to last paragraph of the book
Wait,
of the
why do you have
grotesque.
It's the same
So you can
Yeah.
see
But it's hard when you don't have a map.
Is your map like on that side?
I have a map, it's just not, I have a map on the next page.
Yeah, me too.
Oh,
I have the same book as you
Oh,
guys,
no.
husband.
Different pagination, we'll make it work.
No.
Okay.
This is the one.
Let's look at this paragraph. This is the one Abby started to read for us. Second to last paragraph of the book of the grotesque. You can see for yourself how the old man, who had spent all his life writing and was filled with words, would write hundreds of pages concerning this matter. The subject would become so big in his mind that he himself would be in danger of becoming a grotesque. He didn't, I suppose, for the same reason that he never published the book. It was the young thing inside him that saved the old man. So that thing that is fresh, that thing that is new, that thing that keeps an open mind prevents him from becoming a grotesque. Also, he doesn't publish the book. Why is that significant?
He's not like letting it take him over. It's like it's his own thing, but like no one else really knows
Like his
it.
diary.
The grotesque, like they like talk about that one thing, so like people can like tell, like he's able to tell, but like they don't really know that about him because he doesn't like let it out.
Yeah, yeah, good. It is something that he reflects on privately, but doesn't share and disseminate throughout his community. Yoni, did you want to add on?
That's what I was gonna say.
Okay. Tate?
Doesn't being a grotesque though means like you're closed-minded and you don't like share with the world? So how does not sharing his thoughts keep him from being a grotesque?
Do you want to answer that?
Because if he did share his book and publish it, then he would become kind of enchanted and enthralled by this idea that he came up with. And by not publishing it, he kind of lets that idea still stay with him, but not become such a big driving force for what he does.
Yeah, and it's almost like with publication there's this finality, right? Like, it is printed, it is bound, meaning it is truth.
And
Do you know what I mean? So, because it is kind of written and then eventually thrown away, right? That it is not controlling the writer's mind or headspace.
I feel like he thinks he knows this about like everyone. Why doesn't he try and help them?
I don't think he thinks this applies to everyone. I think that he has noticed it applies to a lot of people in Winesburg. And he is even offering some advice to us as readers, or the narrator is, I should say, on how to avoid becoming a grotesque. How to avoid having one story of self. Does that make sense?
I don't like the reading. I feel
Probably because you're not a grotesque,
I feel like
Abby.
he's like cheating himself out of his own. I feel like he's a grotesque.
You do think he's a grotesque.
I
Yeah,
feel like
I
his
agree.
idea absorbed like I know he's
That's
still
right.
young on the inside, but that doesn't. I don't know.
I mean, like, what else does he do besides this?
Yeah, he just writes that.
He looks out his window.
At the grotesque.
He people watches,
He's like
right?
obsessed with
That's
this.
an extreme
He's
case of
such a
people
grotesque.
watching.
He's like a
Like,
kid.
yeah.
You like look at the ceiling, looking out the window, like into like your room.
Actually,
trying to
like
write about
he is
you.
a grotesque because he keeps thinking about these thoughts and they become true.
Exactly.
So
That's
now
what
it's like he has this whole truth.
because all he does is think about how
I feel like
people's like
everybody's-
brain, like how they think, and now he like acts like he knows it, so it becomes a truth.
I don't think I can read on Miss Hodgman.
Dean, let's listen up.
I just feel like a lot of the books that we read this year, including this one and pretty much all the other books, there's something about it that it's like the beauty of being human. And then when you read this book, you're probably gonna like see all the flaws, but you're also gonna see how real we actually are. And it's almost like when you watch, even when you watch like a YouTube video of people just interacting, it's like you see how people are as people, and yeah.
And
I think
we
that's
can
more-
almost, yeah, and I think we can almost read it as a cautionary tale. Like, yes, this is a way that some humans can end up living their lives. They can have this one idea of themselves. And by reading about a number of people who do that, we become mindful about how we do understand ourselves as individuals and how we understand other people. So it's kind of, it just gives us a new lens through which to understand certain individuals. Can we understand it in that way? Like, this is one way of examining a character. This is one way of looking at an individual. And maybe if that individual is smart, maybe if that individual maintains an open mind, he can avoid this fate. Yoni.
Would be grotesque in this context be defined as someone who just keeps on doing something over and over again every day?
Yeah.
Like,
Who gets locked into the grooves of routine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was just thinking, because if that's true, we're kind of all locked in this system of like waking up at 6 in the morning every day, taking a shower, getting dressed, eating food, going to school, doing your homework, and then just repeating the whole system again the next day.
And almost like mindlessly doing that, right?
That's why-
Yeah. Actually, this gives me a good idea. Why don't you guys jot down
Nice.
a potential thought or truth that could turn you into a grotesque. A particular thought or truth about yourself that has the potential to turn you into a grotesque. Ken, can you get a piece of paper out, please?
So it has to be kind of like a theory.
Like RBT.
No, doesn't it have to be like a kind of a theory?
Like a thought we have.
Not a theory, but like maybe a way, something that you know about yourself that could kind of occupy your whole awareness of self.
Like, if we're like a real grotesque, should we not be able to notice that about ourselves?
Yes, and that's part of the reason why we're doing this exercise.
Then how do we write something down?
That's what
I
I
don't
mean.
know.
Dive
Probably
into your
your
soul.
test,
It's like
like,
the test.
for-
I don't want to admit it.
Like,
well, like, what if it's not a bad thing?
No.
cause Clay's perfect.
I think that's a good idea.
This is very hard.
What do you think, Trevor?
You just need to get a good one.
What limits?
I don't know. I kind of
You can't
I'm a grotesque.
Like thinking that it's your
Oh.
Yeah, like
Really?
think
No, it's
about it
pretty
so much
funny.
that it like turns
I wasn't
out
gonna
bad.
say that, but okay.
Yeah, so what things do you
Oh.
think about yourself that could limit
About
yourself?
myself or about my day?
About yourself.
I was gonna say sugar. When am I gonna need to learn about Sumerian cities in the rest of my life, honestly?
You never know. We're gonna take 2 more minutes.
I'm gonna be on the
No,
break.
I don't know.
Where's my
That's my.
You know what? I just live YOLO. So. But I do everything. No limits.
If I keep thinking it, I will.
Does anyone think that they have encapsulated a certain truth about themselves?
Yeah.
Claire!
Well, like, in some ways I can be like a perfectionist, but like it's not like all around, but in some like areas, like say I'm playing a game or something, I have to get it like 3 stars before I go on to the next game or I won't do it. I have to do it for like every game or I have to get a certain score for that too. And like for other stuff, like I'm just like really picky about, like I don't like to have my food touch, I like to have everything go a certain way. Cause like once I'm told that like, oh this is the plan and that's what's gonna happen and if it changes at the last moment, I get very like freaked out by it cause like it's like that's how my mind is set, like this is what's gonna happen and I don't like when it changes, so. And I feel like that makes it sound like a little bad, but like, just like how it is for me.
So you, Claire, are talking about how one of your truths is that like you like control and routine.
Yeah.
But you don't want to become so obsessed with control and routine that you can't spontaneously break from that trend. Good. That is a good thought about self. Charlie, do you have one?
Okay, well, so like I need to know like what like okay, so like on a test or something, like I need to know like what it's gonna be on and like the plans and like somebody needs to tell me, or else I just like I blank. Like I may know the information, but if I don't know like what I have to expect it. I don't know how to explain that.
That's kind of related to Claire's a little bit of like wanting
I want to know.
to control the outcome,
Yeah, like I want to like
particularly of your academics,
or like.
or not
If I'm like singing
necessarily.
somewhere, I want to know the setup. Like I want to know like what the audience is gonna be like. What like so it can be like good. Like
So you can be prepared.
yeah.
Yeah. Good. Good. D, then Abby.
Okay, sometimes I feel like maybe, like people say I'm a great person and everything, but sometimes I wonder. And I feel like sometimes I'm actually the one who's causing people to, you know, I don't know, bad things happen to people. So like maybe say that I tell like a teacher, like my friend is in trouble or something, and then they're actually doing something really bad. And then maybe subconsciously, like I'm actually aware that I'm doing something like that I just want to see this person fail. But I just
I
feel like the hamster is a bad
I
one.
just used to
Everyone like
And then,
secretly
like
So you are seeing some human instincts in yourself that you find to be a little bit ugly.
Competition.
well, and also like I have a lot of like close friends, but sometimes it's just I fear that I'm doing bad things to them, like subconsciously.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure how to put it into words.
Yeah. So you're reflecting on the nature of your relationships with other people and the way
how I
that
see
you.
I mean, I see people, but like sometimes
complicated.
So,
I apologize.
are you commenting on wanting to see good in people rather than ugliness in
Well,
people?
no, it's because I already see the good in people. So, but you know, like maybe like I feel like maybe I actually like I care about people's well-being and everything, but sometimes I just really all I really want to do is just see them fail. And
No, I know what you mean. That's
Oh,
not
yeah,
like
I
that.
know,
Like,
yeah.
I like
that's
sort of
human.
things.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like with Vinny and Jean, like,
Yeah.
Oh,
Good.
yeah.
I always think they're my
Nice.
best friend.
Miranda
Oh,
keeps connecting
yeah.
all these
Things. Like, he like wants him to
Separate
fail.
Bird. Yeah, that's good. That's good. So maybe one of the bad thoughts about yourself is that you are a selfish person, for example. Like that you would put yourself before
Yeah.
other people.
Is it doubt? Is it doubt of yourself?
Yeah.
That makes
So,
sense.
like,
Yeah.
it's like on the
Putting
like,
yourself
on the-
Selfish
Yeah.
is selfish.
Doubt of yourself.
Wait, I don't
Abby,
get
do you have one?
Yeah, that's kind of weird though.
Just
Go ahead, Abby.
Cause like, I don't know. It's kind of weird. 'Cause it's not like a bad thing. But
Okay.
it's kind of like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm not really like there. Like I don't know how to say it. Like I'm there, but like my head isn't.
Okay.
Like I zone out all the time, and then sometimes like it'll be like a week, and I'm just like, what even? Like I don't even remember what happened that week, and I feel like I'm just like I get everything done, but it's just the way. I don't know.
But you're not present to
Like
the
I-
things
yeah,
that
I
you're
really,
doing.
I just don't push myself or like do anything more. Like I just do enough, and it's like I can do more, but I don't. And it's just kind of like getting by with things, but not doing it. Yeah.
Good.
I feel like I'm just.
Yeah. Yeah. Yoni.
That could kind of be because, like I said before, just the routine of our lives just repeating and repeating, and then kind of hitting the system that you kind of call daily life, and it just becomes something so normal and so automatic for someone, or it just, you don't even really think about it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I'm thinking of another one. Kind of because I'm doing some of this stuff with my 10th graders right now, where we're working on an example essay where they're commenting on their personal relationship to society and how society shapes how they understand themselves. So, one of my students is writing about how she, as a girl, as a female student, feels certain pressures to look and act a certain way. And if she became too obsessed with, like, appearing beautiful, then that could become a
Oh yeah, like
grotesque. If you-
judgment, like
yeah,
that's
if
like
you subscribe
Yeah.
so strictly to society's standards for beauty that becomes your whole life and you're like, I have to be beautiful, I
yeah,
have
that's
to
like
be
another
perfect.
thing. Like,
That would be one way that someone could become a grotesque.
like I
Does that make sense?
like pleasing people. Like I care too much about what people think. You know what I mean? Instead
Yeah.
of just doing my own thing. Also being like self-conscious for like
Well, like-
achieving like that beauty, you can be self-conscious about yourself, and even like, you know, you might. It's just everybody has their own image of beauty, and like society's trying to make it seem like this just certain image is what is beautiful, but not
Yeah.
like everybody.
So your grotesque could even be like, I am not beautiful enough, or I am not smart enough, or I am not athletic enough, or I'm not a good enough singer to make it. You know, those things could be truths
I can't make it.
that control your life. Okay, one more minute.
Wait.
Clay, I'm gonna come to you in a second. What do we need to look for when we read Hands and Paper Pills
Are
tonight?
they grotesque?
One, are they grotesque?
And how?
And two, if they are grotesque, how
What is the
are
thought?
they
Is it
grotesque?
everyone's beautiful?
Not everyone is grotesque.
If you think about like
I just went in front of the camera and constant.
If you believe anything, it makes you grotesque.
If you believe in something so much that it's your soul,
Filming this conversation.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, if something becomes your default setting because you believe it so intensely.
So people like monks, would they be grotesque?
But they kind of,
Because that's their entire life.
Well, what is their, I would say, what is their purpose in becoming a monk? You know, they probably have
break
some.
away from that.
So that there's more than just that, thoughts, truth. Because they think about, like, super religious people, they just think about God, then, like...
Yeah, and this author will actually criticize religion a little bit as a way that it can turn people into grotesques. Later on, when we get deeper into the book.
I'm already on the book, just from the first few pages of
Good! Good, I'm glad.
I think a
You only
lot.
wait for me.